name is Antonio Scarponi. I'm an architect and I'm a designer, and my work is oftentimes based in urban agricultural practices as a way to engage and activate communities. My work is also, I also consider my work as a form of giving shape to knowledge, and I believe that the ultimate contribution of design is knowledge, the heritage that the design can provide. It is a knowledge that can be distributed, and I like to see the people I work with as seeds of my ideas that can grow and propagate further. Hydroponics is a farming technique that allows you to grow food basically anywhere. Food grows in water instead of soil, which provides several advantages. In the first place, what is incredibly valuable, in my opinion, for hydroponics, especially indoor, is that you don't have to water the plants. Otherwise, it allows you to save up to the 90% of water otherwise used in traditional agriculture. You can control the nutrients that the plants have at any moment. It reduces the propagation of pests and mushrooms and different type of plant diseases. What I like specifically of hydroponics is that technically you can really grow food anywhere, in contaminated lands, in spaces, even in cities or in our apartments. I've designed Eliooo because I wanted to activate people. I consider design as a form of knowledge more than a product, and I wanted to find a way to simplify it and bring the complexity of hydroponics to something extremely simple that anyone can do at home. The idea of this is that it basically allows to create an awareness of the connection between what we have within ourselves and what we eat, and therefore also to the environment in which we grow our food. In order to do this, I provocatively activated a big industry multinational such as IKEA, and I was fascinated by the idea that we cannot simply hack an IKEA furniture, but with my project I could actually activate and hack the IKEA infrastructure, the IKEA distribution infrastructure, by providing instruction about how to acquire simple basic pieces, products produced by IKEA, make a simple modification and grow food at home at extremely cost-effective way. This is what Eliooo is about. Eliooo is about to activate you to a more sustainable and possibly fun way of growing your own food. The first important things with hydroponics is to plant the seedlings. Usually I use this product which is coconut cubes. These are quite effective because they allow the plants to grow, the seedling to grow. Here you see some basilicum which I planted a couple of weeks ago. So what you do is actually quite simple. You take the seeds. I like to plant with my system Eliooo large leaves basilicum type of plants because it's extremely rewarding. You can grow it throughout the year, and at the end of the procedure I will also show you how to make some pesto. So you take the seeds and you put it right there in this little hole that you can find in these coconut cubes, like this there. And with the use of a pencil, you could also squeeze them in a little bit so that you make sure that the seeds are staying in the grass, in the dark. After you've done that, you take some water and then you pour it on top of it. They need to stay moist, basically, and it takes some time to grow to grow properly. What you can see here is it's a seedling that is actually developing of the same type of plant. It's a basilicum. And you can see that the plant is still very young. It's not really well developed. Basically, as soon as this little plant looks like a mini plant, so to speak, it is ready to be transplanted. After you do this, you need to make sure that these cubes remains humid, wet. I recommend it to put it not in the sun, in a rather dark or indirect light place until the seedling develop, and then slowly put it into the sun. You can also cover it if you're outside or if you're afraid that the cold air could actually burn. To keep it moist, you can also cover it with something like this, or simply a plastic bag would do the work. Just make it sure that it remains moist. While the plants are growing, while the seedling are growing, so it takes a little while, a couple of weeks I would say, you can actually start preparing the actual place where the first time plants will be done. And for this, I suggest you can use these boxes produced by IKEA. Why? There are two main reasons. The main reason, because this product, you can find it everywhere in the world. They're quite cost effective. And the second reason, because since a couple of years, IKEA has introduced a quality standard, in which it guarantees that all the plastic in their product is PBA free. Now, you understand that it's a crucial thing, because plants will grow in here, and you don't want to have the plants absorbing any type of chemicals. So this is something important, in my opinion, to keep an eye on. And in order to reply to a question that sometimes arises, does it have to be IKEA? No, absolutely not. You need to have a container which doesn't let the light going through, because otherwise algae will develop, and which will compete with the actual plant. This is what basically you need, and this size is the smallest, but you can also have a bigger tanks, bigger boxes, so to speak. So actually, the bigger the better in some ways, because you need to water the plants less. Basically, you prepare. This is all the food that the plants will drink or will eat throughout their life, so to speak. So the second step is to make holes in here, in the lid, which can then host the net pots, which will be actually attached to this. In order to do this, you need two pieces of equipment. You need these, which are called net pots, that you can buy in the internet quite cost effectively. If you do not want to use this, you can also buy or use a yogurt bucket and make holes into it, What would also works is terracotta small vases with a hole underneath. This is actually, in my opinion, might be actually really, really good. Why is it so? Because the terracotta would actually help to mediate the temperature, because hydroponics do not like hot temperature. You will always have to keep your plants in the shadow, bright place, but without direct light. This is my suggestion. Otherwise, if the water gets too much hot, they will basically became kind of like droopy and less crispy. So try to make sure the water stay cool, ideally between 15 and 25 degrees, ideally. And so the two pieces of equipment you need is this, which is a drill, and you need also this type of bit. And this is a kind of like a tricky equipment. It's not dangerous, but you need to be careful how to use it. And you need to make sure that the blade is actually a little bit smaller than the beaker, than the net pot, because this needs to be kind of like applied on top. So whichever net pot you use, make sure that you're making a proper bit. In order to do so, to make this cut, I recommend you to use a board underneath, like this one. You can really see that I've been drilling a lot of holes, so that when you drill, you're making sure not to damage the thing underneath. I can show you quickly how to fix these things and how to actually drill the hole and what to be careful of. So what you do basically, you're taking the drill, you place this one inside. You've tied it very nicely. Now it is unplugged, but basically what you do is taking this and then you drill the hole. My recommendation, if your drill have this possibility, is to increase the number of the speed, to make it speed really fast and not to push very hard, to let the blade do the job. So keep it mellow, but make it spin really fast. I'm saying this because what might happen if you're not careful, so to speak, is that the blade gets stuck and this spins against you. Again, this is a machine that you always need to be a bit careful about. This is my advice. In this drill, you can regulate the speed. And so I recommend to keep like high number of speed and not to push too hard, just making sure that you're cutting these 4 holes. Another important aspect is that this is what you get basically in the end. So here in this case I have 4 holes. You can do basically nice put in the pots like this. You have 4 plants. If you have a smaller net pot, you can also do more. You can do up to 8 probably in one tray. Something very important for you to keep in mind is that the smaller the box, like this one, the more often you need to refill it. What you have at the end of this process is basically this. Here you have your net pots where the plants will grow. I like it because you can take it in and out. You have 4 plants, and these holes is also very practical in my opinion because it allows you to lift the whole lid, and it also allows you to put a funnel in here and actually allows you to water the plants from above without touching anything. And now a couple of weeks passed by, so to speak, and I can show you what you can get. So ideally, you will have your seedling would look something like this. Something like this. I can take out the lid. And this is how you look like. Here on this side you have basilicum with white leaves, which is my favorite to make pesto, by the way, which was planted about 3 weeks ago. And here on my right you can see the same type of plant which was planted last week. These are the coconut cubes which you have seen, and now it's about to transplant them on the actual thing. So actually, I would like to point out that these plants, it's slightly a little bit too early to transplant it into the hydroponic setup. As you can see, it doesn't look like a basilicum yet. It is basically a seedling. It doesn't look like anything. Ideally, you should transplant it when it looks like a little plant, a little of what it is, a little basilicum. It doesn't look like it yet, but I think it's still okay. What is important for you to notice is to see roots coming out of the coconut cubes. And what you basically do is quite simple. You take a net pot of the same size, or slightly smaller than the holes you drilled last time. Then you drop it inside there. And in order to protect the plant and to make it grow, you can fill these gaps with expanded clay, which looks like this. Hold on a second. This is expanded clay. They are basically little balls that you can see, and you can just put it in your system. So at the end of this procedure, it would look something like this. Then you take your system here and you put it in, and you repeat for all the others. After this, I will show you how to start fertilizing. What you can see here, the expanded clay that I have found is actually quite tiny. Usually, I expected to have it a little bit bigger, a bit thicker, like little stones. So this one, it's not ideal because it goes through the holes. If you get a little bigger one, maybe I can show. If you get these, it would be better instead of these. So this would not go through your system. So now, at the end of this procedure, this is exactly what you have. You have the Eliooo, the trough system from IKEA, the hole that we drilled in the lid, and then you have basically these that fits exactly like this. Now, this is a little bit big. If you have smaller net pot, you can put more, as I explained before. Now, what I want you to do is to fertilize, but before going there, I want just to make a small parenthesis, if you like. This technique is called non-circulating hydroponics. which means that the water stands still as soil would do, and the plants develop by themselves hydraulic roots and aerobic roots. So basically, technically speaking, they drink the fertilized water inside this box. What you have to do as soon as the water is nearly finished is refill. But to start, I would like you to make sure that the water basically touch the net pot that you see underneath. So it should be about 1 centimeter touching this net pot for about 1 centimeter. So to make sure that the plants stay moist, this is the most important things. So now let's fertilize and let's see what you need. So to fertilize, there are basically two main ways, I would say. Either you buy three ways. You can buy a product, something like this. This is all-round hydroponic fertilizer. This is what I would recommend to start with. The second option is you make yourself your own fertilizer. You need to buy a couple of chemicals, mix it up with water. It's totally fine, but unless you do it in industrial production, I would not recommend it, simply because it's a little bit uncomplicated, so to speak. You have basically 2 boxes of powder, you need to mix it up, and you produce tons of fertilizer, which you actually don't need. The third way, which I also find it interesting, is using your own urine. I know now this sounds like provocative or even weird, to say the least, but it is actually not. You need homeopathic doses of your urine, and this is the same principle in which aquaponic works. In aquaponics, you have fish in water that fertilize the plants, and the plants basically filter and purify the water for the fish. So in this case, you are the fish. And I find it pretty cool because it allows you to reflect about really the close loop between who we are and what we eat and what we excrete, within and without metaphor. So the World Health Organization actually sponsored this practice of hydroponics in developing country. They published a small guideline. The only thing they recommend that the urine comes from a healthy individual, obviously. No disease, no antibiotics, and so on. So beside the fertilizer, I use this product for my convenience. It lasts very, very long because you need a very little bit of fertilizer. And to measure it, I use a syringe. I use this. And obviously you need to dilute this fertilizer into water. So what I use, which is quite simple to calculate, is 1 bottle in which I know there is a liter of it. So let's go through it. So for 1 liter, you need 5 ml of this thing. So let's do it. So you open up. Actually, first you can shake it a little bit. Then you open up. What you can do, what I do oftentimes, is to put it on the cap. Okay, so let's do it again. We have water. We have the fertilizer that I put in the cap for my convenience. We have the syringe, and I need to suck in 5 ml. So 5 ml, 1 liter. Squeezed in, shake a little bit for my convenience, and then now we'll make sure that you see it. You can basically lift the lid and then pour the water inside. Okay. I think 1 more liter is needed. If you are more organized, you can put a funnel in here. I used to have one, but I cannot find it today. So let's go with another liter. So 1 more liter. 5 ml. Boom. And into the system. Voila. Okay, now the system is ready. The water inside is 1 centimeter touching these net pots, and this will give enough space for the plant to grow. You don't have to worry about the plants drown, as oftentimes it is said with hydroponics, because the plant knows how to catch the air for itself. What it is very important and is that you do not put this into the sun. I know that this might sound counterintuitive, but it is really, really important that you do not put this system in the sun. Because one of the limits of hydroponics, one of the biggest limits in my opinion, it does not well support heat. In nature, basically, the soil, the earth, insulate and keep the roots cool. If you have this plastic container in the sun, the water will get warmer, and it's really not good for the plants. So they will go fluffy immediately. It's very important you keep it in a bright space, but not under direct sunlight. And ideally, plants like this in hydroponics, they like a temperature between 15 and maximum 25 degrees. But there is also a way around it, which is basically light, and we will go there in a second. So what is important with hydroponics, I repeat it again, is that you try to protect plants from heat. Not saying sunlight, but heat. Sunlight is fine as long as it is chilly. My suggestion is to keep the plants protected also from wind, because they might dry up the plant. So ideally it should become a place like cool and protected. In my opinion, the best way to grow these type of hydroponic farms, which is basically oriented for herbs and plants, my favorite crop to grow is basilicum, because you can have it fresh year-round, as well as mint, as well as salbei and other sauge in English, as well as other herbs. Of course, you can also do salad if you want to, but in my opinion, it's not worthy, because herbs you can really spin your cuisine up, in my opinion. So how to handle that? You can use these kind of stuff. So basically, in the last couple of years, you can find plenty of products in the market, quite inexpensive. A lamp like this costs about $20. And with this, you can basically have all the Eliooo you have, basically 90 square centimeters of Eliooo. You're really good to go. One square meter, basically. It's really fine. And it's basically a lamp. Otherwise, I can show you the system that I have here in the office, and maybe I can even share with you a little bit of life of the plants under the water, although the roots are not yet developed. And I will show you a lamp that was designed by a company called Bulbo. And they designed this lamp after my proposal, because basically Eliooo is something extremely inexpensive, and they well thought to develop a product that actually fit this system, and I thought it was a really cool idea. And here it is. Cold Zurich outside, and with this system I can, these are the lamps designed by Bulbo. You can regulate the heights, they have a cool system there, and with this I usually can produce 1 kilo of pesto throughout the year. and I'm willing to share the recipe with you in a minute. But let's see if I can show you the life of the plant or under the water, so to say. Let's see. So this is basically it, what you have. When as soon as the plant grow, you will basically see big roots developing. And after I give you the recipe, I will give you a tip how to speed up the process of growing basilicum. So a really cool way of speeding up the process of growing seedling, instead of going through the process of taking the seed, put it in the net pot, and develop the plants and wait and so on. There is a really fast way, which is called cloning. The cloning procedure works like this. You basically have a plant. Plant usually develops in branches. Like this. Maybe I move this a little bit so you can see it better. And here you have your cube with the roots. And here you have the water. And here you have the net pot, as we see. So we said that the plants grow hydraulic roots, and they basically suck all the nutrient from the water. But they also develop aerobic roots. And here you have the lid of the box, obviously, of the trofast. And here they develop aerobic roots, right? You don't have to do anything except refilling the water when it is basically very low. And you can do it at any time you need to seed. You can even put a kind of what I call analog sensor, which you can do with a cork and a little flag. So when you know when there is a certain line where it is below, it's time to refill. When that box is filled, it basically you have 5 liters of water inside. So if you have a bigger container to do these things, you're more than welcome. I'm kind of lazy and I know how much water I want to put in, so I fertilize one water at a time. So it's my practicalities, so to speak. But back to cloning. In order to clone, you need to do like this. So imagine this is a big plant of basilicum, right? This is a big plant of basilicum. Imagine you're about to harvest it because the plant is really grown up. It's really big. And my recommendation is to take few little leaves at a time. Because when you cut it too much, the plant suffer and then will soon die. And also the roots will rotten. They belong to that part of the plants and they will create not a really good thing. So my recommendation is, let's say, if you want to be really efficient, 1 week before harvesting, what I want you to do is to cut a branch of this plant. So this is the main stem, so to speak, and I want to cut the first deviation. So here, bam, you cut it there. What you have is a micro plant, which might look like this. You have a stem like this, and you have few leaves, right? So basically, if you take this one and you put it in a glass of water, just water, in a non-direct light, something kind of like warm with not too much air, this will start develop roots by itself in the water. As soon as this little thing have roots, it's ready to be transplanted, as I showed you, with the expanded clay in the net pot, and that will basically suck the water in and grow really fast. And what it is important though, that each time that you do this procedure, that you cut basically the whole plant to make your pesto. We go to the recipe in a second. it's very important to clean everything. So the box is basically some algae might develop because some roots inevitably will die. So it's really important that you take out everything, you wash, and you start from scratch. And you can use some vinegar to remove the calcar that might develop there. And this part, this part of this seedling, it is a clone because genetically it is a copy of the previous plant. This is quite amazing, and it's something that really speed up the process enormously, and you don't have the hassle of going to the net spots and then. So I really recommend you to do this. And now, recipe. All right, so here we are, and speaking about recipe of basilico, pesto. So I call this recipe the recipe of one, and it is really cool. So basically you need 1 of olive oil. You need 1 garlic. You need the whole garlic obviously, but that's one piece. You need 1 of basilicum. You need 1 of pine nuts, and you need 1 of parmesan. So obviously there are thousands of ways of making pesto, and 1 pinch of salt, very important. There are many ways of doing pesto. This is my way. It's not the only way. There are some people who believe in tradition. I believe in people who make tradition, and this is my attempt here. So you take all this, you put it into a mixer, and then you basically smash it and you grind it all together until it became like a cream, and you will see it will be really like a cream. And for the basilicum, you don't need the stem, only the leaves. And obviously you don't need the roots, which will be thrown away. And based on this recipe, my take that you should afterwards adjust it as you like, in the sense that you might need more garlic, you might need more salt, you might like no garlic, or you might like to use pecorino instead of parmesan, and so on. The olive oil, this is important, needs to be virgin, because not all the oil are created equal, obviously. So this is basically all from my side. I recommend you to post videos or the recipe or photograph on Instagram if you like, with the hashtag of Eliooo. It would be very much appreciated, and feel free to contact me at Scarponio. Scarponio. Voila. So I thank you very much for your attention. I hope you will enjoy this meal with me. I hope you will have fun making your own and growing your own pesto and your basilicum. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate to get back to me.